and I honestly can't be mad about that. Another topic that I honestly wanted to bring to the point was the possibility of the NBA bringing back the don't shoot shirts, and maybe Colin Kaepernick, who had his public pledging and kneeling, everything that went public. Maybe could he have gone about his kind of his stance through the don't shoot shirts?
I'll let you start it.
Alright, let's say this. I feel like to start off with the situation, the Colin Kaepernick situation, I did some research on it for a project or whatever, and a lot of people, when they seen him kneel, they didn't really understand why he was necessarily kneeling. They just seen him kneel during the Pledge of Allegiance as just a sign of respect to the flag as well as the veterans, and then what America stands for as far as their foundation. He was kneeling because of the police brutality in general, specifically amongst the black community and just in general as well. He was kneeling saying a stance of I'm gonna take a non-violent Martin Luther King route to a certain degree and not, going about it the wrong way as bashing people on social media. I'm just gonna because he essentially didn't say anything. He just literally kneeled, and a lot of people felt that disrespectful. It even got to grab national attention, even though it is a National Football Association or league of the president, and he felt some type of way about that. So I felt as though his metrics and the way he went about it wasn't violent. He didn't shoot any shots at anyone. He just did what he felt was right at the time, and people led or followed his lead. As far as the don't shoot shirts, the NFL is very strict. First of all, with cleats that they even wear. So as far as apparel wise, he was already limited as to what he can do prior to him kneeling. So I feel as though he kind of couldn't, maybe in the warm-ups, if you decided what the warm-up or his cleats or whatever apparel he chose that he could possibly do it. But as far as in the game, they wouldn't let that happen. As we all know, the NBA and NFL marketing is different. As far as the NFL, you have a helmet on, and the NBA, your name's on the back of the jersey, and your face is more visual to the public. So certain issues and the branding, we might notice a LeBron over an Antonio Brown, even though we know the name of Antonio Brown, we can visibly see LeBron. I think what he was against, he kind of had I wouldn't say another choice, but he couldn't have done something similar to the don't shoot shirts as well. Besides the campaign from Nike and which he sold some merch, what else could he have possibly done with what the NFL has on the rules of appearance and what he's done? I think he kind of did the best he could, personally.
Well, comparing the different situations, I'm more familiar with the Kaepernick situation over the don't shoot shirts. But it's like you said, though, I think people in a way, I personally feel they took it way out of proportion. Way out of proportion. And the reason why I say that is just because of the fact that NFL ownership to really give him a shot, and I only say a shot because he still isn't signed to a team. After 3 years, why did 3 seasons have to pass before you gave the man the opportunity to, possibly get his name back on an NFL roster? That's some fishy stuff on scale of the higher ups with the NFL. Being as big of a league as it is, and Colin Kaepernick brought good ratings to the league when he was playing. So it just didn't make sense to me that it took 3 seasons for them to get him back, possibly. And then with the don't shoot shirts, like you said though, you're not wearing a helmet. You have a name on your back. Social media is very huge. I see players get more involved on there, posting about their games, each win. It doesn't matter. They still, you see their face. Anything they say or do can be used against them. Even if it's not meant to even if what they say is not meant to come off a certain way, we as the people and we as the media, we end up taking it that way. So I don't know, I personally feel it's on different scales, 2 totally different scales. I don't think you can really compare it because the situations that led to it and what has happened as a result of that have totally differed, but that's just my take on that.
Okay, so I have a couple different opinions about the situation. The don't shoot shirts and everything kind of came out after the initial kneeling that Colin Kaepernick took. Whilst he was still protesting and everything, they were still doing the don't shoot shirts. The WNBA was doing the don't shoot shirts. And looking back at it right now, so right now, 3 years later, Kaepernick is without a job, and he's still protesting. My issue with kind of how the events have folded out is the narrative that Colin Kaepernick is pushing at this point, and the narrative that I feel like his camp is trying to push. It seems as if at this point they're trying to make the audience feel sorry for him, and that, don't get twisted, like I said, I still want him to play, but it's been gotten into a weird position. He went viral like the other day because he had a workout and was basically campaigning for all the owners and basically putting it out there on the platter for them to saying that this is your opportunity. What is the NFL going to do next? The ball's in your court. What is you going to do? He's basically out there campaigning for a job. A few months ago, he sued the NFL and received a settlement. Maybe it's just me. If I sue my job, I'm not going back to the job.
No, there's no chance.
So I find those two things very polarizing. And then, not even just double on top of that, the workout that he had was sanctioned by the NFL. I think it was just one of them here, take it type things. But it was supposed to be 20 plus owners there. NFL was going to be able to broadcast a little bit and have media and everything out there. Kaepernick said, don't know. Last second, I'm not coming. Switched it, did his own little thing, his own little workout somewhere which was about an hour down the road, and invited his own media crew, his own people, and supposedly Nike was supposed to be there too to do a commercial for Kaepernick, which they just ended up not finishing, or maybe it's still in production, but. So we kind of just said, forget all them owners that came out to see him. Kind of gave them the middle finger. Anybody that, guys that came down, maybe got on a flight from maybe L.A., maybe Oakland, because the workout was in Atlanta. So it's kind of, you gave them the middle finger. Anybody that came down there, you told them about 30 minutes before, I'm not going to be there. I'm doing my own thing. Mm-hmm. And then to sit there and campaign for a job, I find that is getting a little bit weird. Going back to his initial pledge, you're allowed to protest, and I'm very glad that he did that. But like in retrospect, of course, maybe he might not have known at the time, but I feel like in retrospect, I feel like just him doing the shirt, some of that would have possibly helped him in terms of not getting him booted from the league. While he was kneeling, it was a string of games, a string of like a season and some change. While he was kneeling, and then Donald Trump kind of got out there and pushed the false narrative out there and everything like that. But honestly, like I said, it's kind of Kaepernick was kind of aiding that narrative with the fact that he went out there, he's kneeling, and he didn't really speak too much on the situation. But he also came out in the game and wore socks that had pigs on there. It was like, kill the pigs, talking about the police. I feel like he wasn't necessarily helping his cause when it's already started derailing. And I understand this message, but if you already had these people like looking at you in a negative light, I don't think that really helped you. So I feel like after he kind of got the warning, boom, 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 anybody that kneels will be victimized. They'll be in jeopardy of losing their job, they'll be in jeopardy of fine. I feel like that's the point he could have, maybe, all right, boom, we can come out here in warm-ups. You're allowed to wear anything pretty much prior to the actual tip-off. So he could have wore the shirts, which I think like had a clear message. The kneeling during the pledge, all people see is the pledge. People see is the anthem, and they see one individual standing out and doing something different. So I think that the two were just automatically going to be misconstrued. And until somebody sits there and puts the information out, nobody really knew what was going on until he was interviewed by the media and he kind of expressed as to what was going on. So I think if he initially just had like a don't shoot and justice for Michael Brown, I feel like that would have helped a little bit more. got the specifics of the case out there a little bit easier, and wouldn't have been such a cat and mouse type of thing. And going back to the things that he could have done in terms of branding for himself, he has his Nike deal. He ended up using the situation to be a part of a Nike marketing campaign. I feel like he could have easily, with Nike, instead of being part of this campaign, but also being part of the campaign, could have used his status and came out with merch. The shirts could have came out with merch. He could have instead of wearing socks that was about killing pigs, he could have wore socks about don't shoot. He could have wore socks about justice for Michael Brown. So in retrospect, I feel like there's a lot of things that he could have done differently. Of course, during the time period, I feel like he maybe wasn't thinking about it, but at the same time, I think the moves that Kaepernick has been made have been very, very, very calculated. And honestly, he's kind of trying to make his own narrative at this point from my standpoint. Is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Y'all else got anything else to add?
I think you brought up a good point about, like, you know, they already see Kaepernick as a certain light negatively, and then you bring in, you having, like you said, the socks, that's already kind of like pushing the envelope of the thought process that they already have. And I've even heard, like, just watching, you know, Get Up, First Take, First Things First, like other sports avenues, like in shows and platforms, saying like his speech after his workout, it, like you said, like it kind of get like the way he portrayed it is as if like he wanted people in the NFL to show some sympathy for him. Now, mind you, I agree that he has been blackballed. We can call it what it is from the league, but then yeah, it's like. I think Jay-Z said in an interview when him and Roger Goodell were in a conversation, like, yes, you kneel, but what now? So, like, well, you've gotten the attention from this kneeling, and everyone knows, like, most of the public knows why you knelt. Like, what is it now? Like, what are you going to do now to push that envelope? And Jalen Rose, I even heard from, like, a Hot 97 interview, said, like, he loved the idea that Colin wants to get back in the league and wouldn't mind seeing it. But now that you put yourself on this platform and gotten this notoriety from doing all this activist work, I would kind of want to see you become more of an activist more than a player now. So like you're kind of, your face is like forward and, you know, going this way. Like I kind of want to see, I think your work off field is more than you can do on the field as far as impact wise. So I think that was a pretty good point that you talked about. Do you have anything else to say?
I just say the key thing at the end of it all is just media portrayal is going to be the biggest factor in all of this. Because like you said, if he gets back into the league, like he's already seen in this light that's focused on like fighting police brutality, you know, and just all the stuff that kind of got him out of the league in the first place. But it's kind of like up to the ownership now to really decide, is he worth allowing like back into the league per se? Like knowing everything that will come as a result of that. Everybody's gonna be like, well, he was fighting police brutality, he was kneeling during the national anthem, he was doing all these different things. Like I said, wearing socks, I said, like killing pigs, stuff like that. Like, is the media attention surrounding him worth giving him a spot back in the league? Because as a player, we all know that he can still play.
Right.
But it's just everything off the field, is it worth the extra attention? Because you know the storylines are going to go absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, if the way the NFL's been, I really don't think he gets back in the league. Just the way the NFL's been handling a lot of these players, they've just kind of been on a no-nonsense type of thing. They've been getting a lot of bad storylines from players such as Antonio Brown, of course, recently Marcus Garrett. I don't think that they're going to let this fly. Honestly, with them. But I mean, like I said, of course, it's a talent, but I think it's getting to the point where the NFL is starting to look past guys that are talented at this point, because when it becomes to, it's a bad rap for your organization, it's a bad rap. I mean, if you're a GM, do you sign Kaepernick back again with probably a lot of negative attention? Like, it got to the point where fans were saying that they were going to boycott games, fans were not going to show up to games. You're getting a lot of your money from ticket sales, you're getting a lot of your money from jersey sales. And is it worth the negative backlash you're probably gonna get for a guy that you're not necessarily certain on right now. And like I said, I feel like it gets to the point where your talent can supersede your actions, but while Kaepernick is talented, he was never that guy. If you look at it, it's not like he was Brady and he was doing all this. It's true. He was a guy that was coming off the bench. While he was talented and his career was still young, it was a guy that was coming off the bench. So it's like, is he worth the risk? Like you said, I don't know. If you're a GM, do you sign him back? I think it's just the biggest question. And take that risk.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, it should be interesting to see what the next moves are for the NFL and Kaepernick and them moving forwards. Speaking of guys making moves, my guy LaMelo Ball, man. What do y'all think, man? Should he have gone to college, or do you think that this pro route that he's